Hey everyone, it's Ted from Mob Rules. I shaved my beard again. I feel like I often call myself Dr. Fleshface when this happens, the evil doctor. Anyway, hi. I have something of a little bit of a shakeup. We're going to try something a little bit different. It's going to be converting this, the plastic Contemptor, into something else that's still a Contemptor, but not exactly this. So something about this kit. It's okay. I mean, I like where they came from. I like what they were doing with it. I like the concept, but something about it for me just feels a little flat. I think it's maybe the pose. You can go in there if you really wanted to and chop up the legs a little bit. You could probably cut it at the hip, bloop, and then probably reposition it, and it'd be just fine. But for me, that didn't seem like enough. There's something else about it that just needed a little bit more dimensionality to it. And there's a lot of really cool things to it. Like I think the way they built the chest plate was really fascinating. With like the multiple layers that go on it. The way they did the Dreadnought Close Combat hand was pretty decent. The assault cannon was pretty decent. So there's a lot of aspects to it that were pretty okay. But just for me, the pose was a little static. So I wanted to try something different. But then, of course, I play Iron Hands. And they're tinkerers, as I've mentioned before. I'm a tinkerer, so it kind of works out that the Contemptor Dreadnought need to be tinkered with. So I was going to give you a walkthrough before I painted it, but I got so excited that I just ended up painting it. So it's going to be a little hard to envision exactly what I did. So let's go over and take a look at it, and we'll kind of walk through some of the things I did, and hopefully that'll inspire you to make your Contemptor a little different, and add a little bit of flavor to it, unless you don't like different, and then that's totally okay. Put the kit together and be happy. That's all right. So anyway, let's take a look. All right, so this is not what I built from the plastic kit. So I just wanted to start with a little bit of a reference. This is the Iron Hands Contemptor Dreadnought. But I just kind of want to show you, like, I don't know why I wanted to show you this. That is not it. That way I can show you this and we can have a little bit of a comparison. Hey, move over. Yeah, so this is what we built just recently, and that's the standard. I did change it up just a little bit and magnetize the arms, and the neat thing about that is that actually I magnetized it so all my dreads could have swappable Dreadnought Close Combat weapons. So I could, this guy right here, you can plop that off. You could swap it out for something else. I was starting to get some of these siege drills. I think they're kind of cool. Siege drill arm. Then there's also the, oh god, I can't remember what that's called. Not the shredder claw. I don't know what it is, but I don't really use the rules for them. I'm just kind of using them for Dreadnought Close Combat weapons. I think they add a little bit of extra flavor, and since the Iron Hands, once again, are tinkerers, they have to have something a little bit different, in my humble opinion. Just to kind of, fit the utility of whatever crisis they're going into. So I'll put this guy away because he is not what we're going to be looking at. And put this guy away as well. So we're back to this Contemptor right here. So I think, what I ended up doing was changing the legs out just a little bit, as you can see. So I wanted to have it kind of like an explorator kind of model. I'll pop the arm off so you can see it just a little bit better. So I wanted to have it kind of look as though, give it like advanced hydraulics. That way when it hits the ground, maybe there's like more shock absorbing potential there. And I wanted to give it a little bit more of a dynamic pose. So of course he's Captain Morganing over here, but he's also kind of like rummaging through the wasteland. After his target, and with the theme that I was going for, it was kind of like a woodland kind of feel. So we did put some blown up trees. So anyway, going into the legs, that's the important part. A lot of this was okay. So I started by cutting the legs off. I just kept the pelvis right here, and then ended up building this with a series of plastic tubes. So I think there's like 1, 2, and then there's 3 right there. But I cut right here and put in this, it's kind of like this funky kind of material. Like this comes in a sheet, but if you can see, it has like these teeth kind of thing to it. But I wanted the inside of it to look as though it was like a gear or something. So when this spins around, it's catching teeth inside of this leg. And of course, there'd be no real place for it to catch inside there since it's a big hydraulic. But, it's the illusion, right? This doesn't have to be perfectly realistic. So I did go and put like a larger tube right here, and then capped it with a piece of plastic card. After I did all the plastic glue, it shaves down really nicely, so it's kind of like relatively seamless. It just kind of makes like a nice cap. And then this is right here is supposed to be like a stabilizer, not quite like a strut, but somewhat similar. So it'll probably there'll probably be a little bit of give inside the housing right there, but not a whole lot. So once again, this wouldn't function perfectly. I actually kind of ran out of room, so I was kind of cheapening it a little bit, but also kind of building up the bulk. Honestly, I think like if I did it again, I'd probably build this up a little bit wider. But I'm pretty happy with it. I like the way this turned out. I really like the colors. I think like once with those hydraulic rams, as they push down, a little bit of grease and sediment kind of gets down in there. And so a lot of times like you'll have the hydraulic fluid kind of cake in there with dirt and everything. So I used a little bit of the typhus corrosion, just like a little bit of water. I don't like the stuff just straight. I like to add a little bit of water to it. And then after that, I use the, Seraphim sepia to kind of give it that like yellowish brown kind of look. I think that looks really good. A lot of times like with exhaust, I use that too. So let's see. Yeah, so I ended up cutting the knee pad off, as you can see. Then also doing the same thing up here where I did there. And I have to say, taking this stuff and bending it sucks because you end up with like it snapping at the thinnest points. So just be careful with that if you decide to use it. I'm sure there's like something else I probably could have used, or I could probably even have heated it up just slightly. So then I tried to build up this area just a little bit because it was kind of weird having those widely spaced legs. We threw in some tubes right here. That's guitar wire or bass guitar wire. I don't remember what chord that is, but honestly, I think like I would like to have a little bit more going on in between his legs, which is a common problem. But yeah, so it kind of goes in here. Also the waist, I wanted to have some hydraulics kind of holding this up, some kind of pushing it around. So I did cut it at the waist right there, put in some plastic tube, and then use like 2 pieces of plastic tube, 2 different sizes, put a little bit at the base so it looks as though it sinks into something instead of just like a flat surface. So this is a lot more realistic than the thigh, but it also, I mean, the functionality wise, but I think it also adds a little bit of something to it. And these are unfortunately like details that you may or may not notice when you're looking at it. So yeah, I think that's kind of it. I did use, try to come up with like a little bit of a shield right here, and end up taking like plastic rod. I can't remember what size it is. I think it's like the smallest plastic rod that, here it is right here. Yeah, it's the 210. Looks like it's, 0.75 millimeter or 0.03 inch rod. And what you do is you just like shave little wafers off. And I'll put like a puddle of glue on my desk and then take an X-Acto knife and kind of spear it slightly and then put it into place. Spear, go back and forth. And that's like the most tedious process. But in my opinion, like actually putting those little rivets on really makes something pop. It looks realistic at that point versus just like a series of plates. It gives it some texture. It makes it look as though that there's some intentionality to it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's key in my opinion. So something else I did to this guy, if you notice, is the head. I don't know if hopefully I'm in focus. But yeah, the head, I changed it up a little bit. That is the head from the Venerable Dreadnought. So I had to go back in there and cut the head out, put in a little bit of plastic hard, shave it just slightly on the back of the head so that it'd recede just a little bit further back, and then kind of turn it. And I love that head. Like I oftentimes use it for like my Tech Marines or something like that. I mean, it has that big grill. It's a little bit more brutalist. I think that's an architectural term. But yeah, I think that's super awesome. I really dig it. And then of course I had like some of that brass etch you put on here, and that's kind of something I noticed. Like some people were doing, they're taking like the Aquila and just like just heat it up a little bit and like wrap it around, and it creates like a really nice, like this area normally is just like a big flat. Well, I mean it's concave or convex, but it's relatively it's a featureless plane. So putting something on there, I mean, it really asked to have something put there. And of course I did put some stripes. That was all airbrush. Just put some, got a whole bunch of tape, various size tape, and then after I paint it black, and then I paint the white stripes on and just kind of thicken it where I want it to be lighter. Then with a lot of the paint, I'm going in with Nuln Oil and just hitting the recesses and trying to feather it out. And then for the dirty stuff, this was actually a wet blend, and then with the of gray and then white, and it kind of feels like an OSL, not OSL. I'm sorry, a non-metallic black, non-metallic color, NM non-metallic metals. There we go. I don't know, just like the technique. I've never really done NMM, but I guess maybe that's one way to do it. Just kind of wet blend the crap out of it. So let's see what else. So we have a couple more tubes going up in here. There's some more, the tubes where they go. I didn't do anything with this. I really wanted to, but I just didn't get around to it. Another thing that I might do, because I do have like 3 more of those. Here was kind of that other dreadnought, just a generic dread. And this was entirely made out of plastic hard and plastic tube. And I do have it to where like you can pop it off. I think some of my, some of my bikes have like a little thing for it, and you can put it on there. Because I figured, I don't know, they're not Tech Marines. Iron Hands are almost inspiring Tech Marines. And so I might do something like that where I move the exhaust to one side, like this one. I cut up the one off, moved it over to the side, so I can have room for the arm. So I might do something like that over here with this guy, but I'm not too sure. I think the next one is going to be a little more stout, and I want it to be, so this is the Explorer. I want the next one to be more of like the Mechanic. So this guy kind of scouts ahead, where the other one will, take care of their buddies. So anyway, that was it. I just want to show you that, and see what you think. And converting is kind of what gives me my happiness in the modeling. Painting just kind of makes it look good. So the conversions are more appealing to look at. Nothing like an unfinished project. You're like, oh, okay, well that's a thing. But anyway, if you like this, let me know, and I'll kind of go through and show you other things that I'm working on. I just finished painting this guy last night. Kind of preparing for this video, and also preparing for a game tomorrow. But yeah, if you want to see some more, let me know, and we'll do that. I got some Terminators that are nearing completion. I'll show you how they look. Anywho, bye.